So today we have Vince Sandanato here. He's a good white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. I pronounced that name right.
Yes,
Right?
very
All right,
well.
Cool.
Very well.
Vince, former county legislator,
Yep.
and announced that you want to run for city council.
Jumping right into it.
We just actually came from the city council meeting, which was held on July 24th, which was a very
Eventful.
yeah. So
Colorful.
That's where we saw Vince, and we said, "Hey, can I come over and talk to you guys?" So this is perfect timing. People that see this and know of what's happening in town, it's very disheartening to just see to my eyes the lack of communication. I'm not trying to give you words for why you want to run, but what the hell is happening? Can you give us a Vincent Sandanato version?
I think that's
condensed version. What's going on?
Basically it's politics. Politics 101. You have one side who is against probably the mayor, and you have another side who completely sides with the mayor. And right or wrong, does not matter. Doesn't matter the idea, doesn't matter the policy behind it, doesn't matter if it's good for the community, bad for the community. If one side opposes it, the other side opposes it. I mean, I kind of liken it to what you see on the federal level, which is shocking because politics is so local that it should never reach kind of the dysfunction that you see in the federal level. So when you're not able to have that line of communication anymore, when you can't show decorum, when you can't show professionalism, when you can't do anything like that, you are completely dysfunctional. And I think that's where we stand today. And that's why I jumped into the race for the council, because I think we are completely dysfunctional and the city of Niagara Falls is being held hostage by political rhetoric.
So you get in, let's say. What happens? All of a sudden it's not dysfunctional?
I'm not saying it's not dysfunctional. There's four other people. However, you will always know where I come from. I'll always explain my vote. I'll always have my phone on. And I think I like to bring a little logic to the table, which is completely lacking, severely lacking with the process right now.
It appears that people aren't getting the facts or don't want to know the facts. They just want to react to the opposite side. It just makes no sense to me that they haven't gone behind closed doors, as everybody says, roll up your sleeves and figure this out. I can't imagine that three people can continually vote the exact, they have all the same ideals, and the other two people always have the same idea. It's so obvious. So I don't fault either side.
Right.
I'm saying, hey, how do we clean the slate totally if this is what's happened? And you can't. I don't think anyone's devious either. I don't think anyone's being evil. I think they've just gotten themselves into a position where they're
way too far entrenched in this, where it's kind of harder to see the forest through the trees, and that's kind of how I liken it. Basically, what you have to do right now is call a ceasefire. It's off. We have a priority here at City of Niagara Falls. What we are supposed to do is for the betterment of Niagara Falls. You may not like me, you may not support me, but at the same time, we still have to have some political respect. We still have to have some professional respect, and we still have to have some decorum. What we saw tonight was, there's no words to even explain it. I mean, you have council members fighting each other. You have council members fighting people who are talking tonight. You have people yelling at a developer. You have people criticizing a mayor who it's just all over the place.
booing and
right.
clapping
It's like,
and
so at some point, I mean, you really need someone who's just going to sit there and say, enough is enough. We're not going to do this anymore, and take a lead. Offset this political nastiness, this political rhetoric, by actually throwing out ideas and solutions. And I think that's where I step in. I stepped away from politics for 2 years. I'm coming back in, but over the last 2 years, I've actually had quite the opportunity to see how different governments work. I've seen different ideas and how that's implemented, and that really fueled my interest back into city government. And I'd love to bring those those ideas to the table.
do you think it would be better for more people being new? I know we've got a couple other candidates that would be new. Do you think the more new the better, or do you think we should keep some experience and follow a new lead, or
I don't
how
think,
does the mix work?
I don't think you set that criteria. I think what we need is a voting population to sit there and say, when a candidate comes to your door, you really need to ask them questions. Ask them where they stand on this, where they stand on that. What are your ideas? What are your solutions? And see what they say. Because chances are they don't have any ideas. They don't have any solutions. They're going to give you the same political rhetoric of, well, we cut the NCCC or NTCC or the USA Niagara by $3.5 million. Well, yeah, great. We appreciate that you saved us from an 8% tax increase, but at the same time, that's not going to happen next year. You're still the same 5 council members who spent countless amounts of money in casino money that was never received. How do you account for that? How can you go door to door and say, I'm doing a service for you by 3 years of spending that we never had. There's no planning behind it, and that's the kind of thing. I think the council majority, as some people like to call it, I think they have some steps forward that they took. I mean, cutting spending is good. Reducing government is good, but at the same time, their logic is flawed, and that's the part that I don't agree with them. And then you have the council minority who are, they may want to do more social programs, more community-oriented programs, which is fine, absolutely fine. But at the same time, you can't just have community service or community-oriented programs and that be all. You can't just pick and choose what programs to cut and that's all. There has to be some type of plan. When people ask me, well, why are you running for city council? My first thing is to say, look, if we can't start with ourselves, there's no way we can come to the public and say we can't afford your programs. I'm sorry, Nick, we can't afford to float you some money because we haven't taken care of ourselves.
Right.
Or I'm sorry, Italian Festival, we can't float you any money because we have a healthcare program that calculates lifetime health insurance based on the age of your retirement plus how many years you've worked for the city. Mm-hmm. So if you're 64 years old and you've worked 1 year, you have lifetime health insurance. Ridiculous. And elected officials who are part-time get that benefit. Ridiculous. And that's the thing. Like there are so many things that we can do internally to reduce our budget, to reduce cost, to reduce overlapping services. That if we don't do it, our budgets are going to keep rising. Our services are going to be depleted, our population is going to lose out, and the city's going to become a ghost town in a sense. I mean, we're already at a paper-thin middle class right now, and the fact that we have no plan of moving forward, that's discouraging.
Sure. Let's start with some of your history and experience. How do you feel you can step in and be a positive influence to this? Give us some of,
Right.
Born and raised
in LaSalle, Niagara Falls. I know the people, I know the players, I know the actors. I've met with both sides of the aisle. As a legislator in Niagara Falls, I represented the LaSalle area, but I also started the first ever, it was a countywide Niagara Falls coalition. Basically what we did, we had all the council members, we had all the county legislators who represented Niagara Falls in one room, and I said, let's sit down, let's talk about issues. Just closed doors, nothing, let's really just put an agenda forth, let's get this all out. It stalled. But I was willing to take that opportunity to go bipartisan, because it's what's best for the for the city.
Like you said, it's not the federal government
Right.
that requires this.
Right.
Schooling.
I'm in law school. I've had several classes right now where I've learned policy. I've learned crime policy through federal crim law. I've learned property law. So when we're talking contracts, negotiations, easements, stuff like that, I've already have experience in that.
And your regular undergraduate work was where?
St. John Fisher up in Rochester, New York.
Okay.
I was a political science major, Roman Catholicism major, double major. I interned in family court. I did a lot of mock trials and stuff like that, so I was very active. I was very active in the community. Come back and throw my hat in the ring for
Right.
county legislator.
Right.
That evolved, and now all of a sudden I'm working towards becoming a council member. And I think it's finally to the point where if we don't have new ideas to the table, we're just going to be spinning our wheels, and we can't spin much longer.
No. How about your employment now? You're employed somewhere?
Nope, I'm just a regular student.
Hard-working student.
Hard-working
ready
student.
To go to work for the
Absolutely, I mean,
city and
absolutely.
help us get rid of this logjam. It's
Yeah.
just absolutely, it is ridiculous because the things that really don't even matter, they're still diametrically opposed to each other. If
Right.
this guy's behind it, he's going to be against it.
Absolutely.
It just makes no sense.
And it's like, can't we just, there has to be some decorum behind this. Or if there's no decorum, then you really need to come out and say, well, we tried it, it didn't work, but here's why it didn't work.
Right.
Lay it out there for the people to know. Because essentially we need to know why it doesn't work. And that's the thing. We don't need council members bickering at each other. We don't need council members bickering at the crowd. It's a very...
Now, how much can change? What's up for this election? What's available?
We have 3 seats that are up for election right now. So 3 incumbents.
3 incumbents. Which ones are they?
Charlie Walker, Councilman Walker, Councilwoman Grandinetti, Councilman Frischholm.
So those 3 are, what is it? Their term is just up?
Yep, term is just up.
Right. So now-
They serve their 4 years.
Okay.
And now in September they have a primary.
And for that, they're all running again, and then there's new candidates. How many?
There's
Yourself.
3, so there's 4 other.
Yourself and 3 others.
3 others.
Four
So-
total. And then that's it. There isn't anybody else. You
Nope.
can't find out the whatever period to apply or petition or whatever.
It's all
That's
over.
all done.
So
Okay.
petitions are done. Anybody who circulated petitions have already filed, and so the field's set.
The field is set, and we're going to hear more from you. Come by anytime, and that's open to everybody. We've done this all the time at the hub. Whoever holds an elected position, wants to hold an elected position, or doesn't want to, come on in and talk to us. Just tell us, and we'd be glad to give you, an audience. Once in a while, we may come back and sing you, but
I
you never
appreciate the
know.
hard questions. I think that's something that's lacking in this city.
Cool.
No one asks the hard questions.
All right, what should we do with Hamster?
Hamster. Well, that's an interesting question. It is. I love it though.
It's not hard.
It's
though.
it's not hard. It's
a
interesting.
question.
My concern with the Hamster project is not the fact that it's Hamster. The fact is I don't believe that the scope for the RFP that went out way back, I think it was like February or last February, something like that. The scope of the RFP was for a hotel or a retail project. To me, I don't like to limit a scope for an RFP like that.
Mm-hmm.
What it should have been was a scope to attract any business. I don't care what it is. If a hotel business happens to be the best business, so be it.
Right.
But at the same time, why can't we have other businesses try to
And
attract?
that was just a hotel?
It was a
RFP?
hotel and a real estate, kind of a touristy
Okay.
geared
And who
RFP.
came up with that? USA Niagara.
USA Niagara. And to me, that's my contention with the project, not the fact that Mr. Hamster has won the RFP.
Right.
I mean, I
It
don't.
was, but it wasn't a car wash. Or
Right.
It wasn't anything else.
Right.
Okay.
So
We don't want to.
the fact that it's 100,000 versus 200,000 versus 400,000, I think
It's irrelevant.
not irrelevant, but I think when you look at the grand scheme of things, it's 0 right now.
Yeah.
So would I hope that he would negotiate a little higher? Absolutely. I don't agree with giving away just land to anybody. But if you're going to sit there and say we're going to develop, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, well, you know what? Well, we don't have that, so let's do it. But at the same time, I think there needs to be a deadline for Mr. Hamster. Don't tell me that it's going to take you 10 years, 15 years, or 0 years. Like just, tell me something reasonable.
To it and,
Yeah.
and,
If you think it's going to take you 5 years, tell me 5 years.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, I might be more amenable to that.
Sure.
That might be okay. I don't expect businesses just to pop up like that. And again, like this goes back to the city council. We have things to do in our backyard that need to be done first. For example, 2-tier tax system, absolutely crushing businesses right now. The fact that a business can pay $48 per $1,000 assessment, it's mind blowing. And the fact that a homeowner has to pay, it's like $23, $24, $25 per $1,000 assessment, ridiculous. And no one wants to talk about that. No one wants to try to alleviate, the taxpayers.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we're going to sit here and we're going to squabble over $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. So,
Gotcha.
and that's what I'm saying. I might agree with the council majority, but at the same time, I don't agree with their logic. And if I don't agree with the logic behind it, I'm not necessarily going to agree with their
Right. Can't
approach.
defend it.
Right. So, when it comes to the Hammerster project, they followed the rules. They did the RFP. I would have opposed the RFP, the scope, but they did the RFP. The RFP came back. Hammerster got it. Hammerster came in, submitted his plans, submitted his ideas. Everyone's on board with it. How much more can you?
Yeah.
How much more can you do?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Now we're, another black eye for the city of Niagara Falls because we're sitting here squabbling with a developer who actually wants to do something.
Really.
So.
We should rush to get home to see what they say on the news because
Yeah.
that was quite a show.
I hope they just do like a top 10 ESPN moment of city council.
Well, this will be the top 10 here. Now they'll say, "Hey, Avery and Sandanato
That's
were out
it.
there talking. Did you see that?" So it's a good start, Vince. I hope you come back more. We're gonna get. Obviously, there's more to the Vince story.
Right.
And as your campaign goes on, come in and give us some updates and give us some,
Whenever you guys want.
And we'd love to have someone come in and talk to you that totally disagrees with everything you stand for, because
Would
we
love
love to get it going, bring it down.
The fact that, if we can get ideas, proposals, solutions on the table, I don't care what party you are.
Cool.
It's a great idea.
Cool. All right, buddy. Hey, thanks for coming.
Appreciate it.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.